Terence Bud Crawford says if he cannot get a fight with Errol Spence, your Dennis Ugas winner, he's thinking about moving up to 154. Stay tuned to this video. We're going to talk about that. Yo, what up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Make sure you smash the like button. Errol Spence, I made a video about it. This is why you guys got to follow my channel for the latest and greatest in boxing. Errol Spence was at a boxing event with his family, and he was called into the ring for whatever reason, and he made a brief statement. And Errol Spence says he's going to fight the Ugas fight, which we know about. I talked about that on the channel, and then he's coming for their last belt. He didn't physically or actually say Terence Crawford's name, but that's the guy who has the belt. So this is what Errol Spence said. Now, Terence Crawford has done his own interviews. Look, Errol Spence looks like he's in shape right there. Terence Crawford did his own interview. The fight week for Amir Khan versus Kell Brook, which just happened over the weekend. And he spoke to BTG. Link will be in the description so you can check out her video. And let's look at and listen to what Terence Crawford had to say. Roll the clip.
How important is it for you in terms of your career, your legacy, to ensure that the fight between you and Errol Spence does happen?
Well, like I said, I want that fight. If it happens, it happens. I've been calling for it for years now. If it don't, it don't.
So you're okay if it never happens?
So Crawford said, if it don't, it don't.
I've been calling for it for years now. If it don't, it don't.
So you're okay if it never happens? Because us fight fans aren't okay with that.
Well, the fight fans got to be the ones that push for it.
Okay.
You got to be the ones that demand it. Mm-hmm. I did my part. I've done my part since being professional by going through everybody that they put in front of me. I can't see what I can do different or anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So Terence Crawford right then and there, he says he's done everything. But I mean, if we're really being honest, has he really done everything that possibly could be done to get that fight? Yes, he has called for it in the public, but I mean, that's like someone saying, I want $1 million in my bank account. I mean, just merely saying you want $1 million in your bank account, that's not going to cut it. That's just common sense. If you think you have to at least play the lottery or something, or have a game plan or a business strategy or sell an NFT, there has to be something more substantial than to just merely say something, right? And outside of really saying this is what we always get to when it comes to this conversation with Terence Crawford and the Crawford fans, is outside of merely calling for it, the decisions that Crawford has made, where's the accountability? Has there been any accountability for the decisions he made? It was Crawford before the Jose Benavidez fight who decided to re-sign with Top Rank. This is not my opinion. This is a matter of fact. So is that doing enough to get the fight by re-signing to a guy who a few years later would throw your name through the mud and put you on blast and throw you under the bus saying, hey, I don't make no money with Terence Crawford? And this is, of course, Bob Arum, founder of Top Rank. So I don't quite get where Crawford is going with a lot of his interviews on this subject, so we can just agree to disagree, but I'm just giving you my honest opinion. There's a reason why Terence Crawford is suing Bob Arum. See, this is the thing, is like, It's like addiction. When somebody is addicted to anything, drugs, gambling, liquor, whatever, the first step that they always tell you in those little videos and 12-step programs and whatnot, the first step to overcoming an addiction is to first admit you have an addiction. If you think what you're doing is peachy keen and there's nothing wrong with it, then how are you going to beat it? How are you going to conquer it if you haven't even identified it as a problem? This is where we're at, or where I'm at with the Terence Crawford situation. In his mind, his team, himself, and a lot of his fans mirror the same sentiments, like what he's saying to Michelle Joy Phelps, right? I've done everything on my part. So why were fans for several years begging and pleading for you to buy yourself out of a contract with Top Rank, to not re-sign to Top Rank, to consider all your options, to sign to PBC? But in Crawford's mind, per his own words, he's tried everything.
The ones that demand it, you know, the fight fans got to be the ones that push for it.
And like, I mean, just listen to what it's not. I really feel like Crawford is a good dude, but what he's saying is not really rational. It's in a perfect world, if you will, right? A lot of people could say, like, the reality is right now, we're still in a pandemic. We're not under the normal guidelines. You have the Russia-Ukraine conflict right now. These things are existing. So you can turn a blind eye and act like these things don't exist, act like some states don't require masks or vaccinations and boosters, or you can get with the times and realize that these are all realities in our current society. That's what I'm saying. So in a perfect world, maybe, but Crawford is saying it's up to the fans. Fans wanted to see Manny Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather for 7-8 years. And it didn't happen because the politics and the conflicts behind the scenes with the people in suits and those types of things. Pacquiao didn't want to take a drug test. Those are the types of things that occurred that prevented the fight. So I don't think Crawford is being reasonable here by throwing, and he did in another interview, he blamed black fans. I don't get that. I don't get what he's saying, oh, fans got to demand the fight. Okay, there are some people who are demanding Crawford and Errol Spence and not looking at the politics or sides of the street or nothing, and the fight still hasn't happened. So it just sounds very misguided.
Because us fight fans aren't okay with that.
Well, the fight fans got to be the ones that push for it. Okay. You know, you got to be the ones that demand it. Mm-hmm. You know, I did my part. You know.
See, he keeps saying I did my part.
You know, I did my part. You know, I've done my part since being professional by going through everybody that they put in front of me. I can't see what I can do different or
see, he's saying he can't do nothing different
anymore. You know, if I can't get the Spence Ugas winner, you know, I would love to get the Jermell and Castano winner.
So he says he wants to get the Jermell, Charlo, and Castano winner, right? I mean, none of this stuff, I'm just being honest with you. None of this stuff, it sounds like a pipe dream. None of this stuff sounds real. Like, if you can't get Errol Spence Ugas winner, PBC fighters, Al Heyman advised fighters, what makes you think you're going to get one division up, the winner of a fight of undisputed? One's a stablemate of Errol Spence. How? Explain this stuff to me. I would love to hear only intelligent comments that are meticulous in thought. You're currently suing after all these years. Myself, people like Errol Spence, he said, hashtag blame Bob. Hey, me and Crawford could happen when Bob stopped lying. Crawford didn't heed any of these warnings. Crawford and his team continued to say, stop making excuses for Errol and PBC fanboys, this and that. But why is he suing Bob Arum finally? You know, none of this stuff really and truly makes sense, in my view. So it's like, I really feel you have to kind of almost feel bad for Crawford because he's a talent, but it sounds like he's dejected or misguided or whatever the word is, to the point where he believes that he can get another fight like Charlo Castano winner. First of all, those guys have mad mandatories that they got to fight. The fact that they're even fighting each other next has been a task, I guess you could say, because there were mandatories that didn't want to stand down and get out of the way to allow for that fight to happen, right? So as a result, you know, we're lucky to even get that one fight. They almost couldn't make the fight, and many people speculated the immediate rematch would not take place because one of the mandatories would be called. So I really don't see the game plan from Terence Crawford. Furthermore, like I just said, Terence Crawford is suing his old promoter, so he has pending litigation. And who knows what Bob Arum's defense is, and you know what Bob Arum, he's a former lawyer, you know, Harvard graduate, so who knows what type of, you know, rebuttal he has to combat these accusations from Crawford's side. But one thing we do know is Bob Arum has vehemently stated that Terence Crawford loses him money. He made that abundantly clear for anybody who would listen. So, I mean, that's part of the game, like leverage and, you know, working your angles and things like that. And I really am curious to see what Crawford's next move is, because I do not see him having the leverage here. I really and truly don't. He's saying, you know, things got to be my way, 50-50, 60-40, things like that. How are you going to get that, though? That's all I'm curious about. Man, if Crawford has a rabbit up his sleeve or some tricks up his sleeve that I didn't consider, you know, fair play to him. But this is not, we're not talking about like Conor McGregor in the UFC or Adrian Broner in his prime or Floyd Mayweather or Manny Pacquiao, where they have a lot of influence, they pull a lot of strings, hold a lot of weight, have a lot of that fanfare, you know, where you have to respect them at the negotiating table. You're going up against a monster, big fish, who's about to have 3 belts if he can do 3. 1, 2, 3, 3. If he can defeat Ugas, he will have 3 belts to your 1 belt that you received in your first fight at the welterweight division against a guy who really shouldn't have been a champion, if I'm being honest, and that's Jeff Horn, who I always told you before Crawford even fought him, I thought he lost to Pacquiao. So I'm not really understanding the strategy. And then now Crawford is saying he's going to move up to 154 if he can't get one fight from the same company. You know, we'll see how it plays out. Like, I really don't see it. I think boxing in this sport, and here's the other thing, and I'll make future videos about this, is Crawford, for all intents and purposes, and I'm not saying this from a hater perspective or hating or whatever, but according to Bob Arum, he was overpaying Terence Crawford and not getting an ROI. That's what Bob Arum is saying. So you have to combat that and make it make sense to get what you're demanding. And I know it's not just me. Bob Arum has said this, but also PBC's Tim Smith has basically said the same thing. You know, I think it was Tim Smith. He did a PBC podcast. He said, we don't even want to send Terence Crawford an offer because we don't want to insult him. We know he's a good fighter, but you're only as good as your last outing. You're only as good as your brand and your star power. So as a result, you know, we don't want to insult him with nothing, but I don't see how that's going to change. Who can Crawford truthfully fight that's realistic, that will skyrocket his brand to make up for years of stagnation and being under the top rank umbrella and not getting the marquee fights that now have you suing Top Rank? Look, this is literally a quote. Simply put, Bob Arum at Top Rank does not care about support or know how to promote black fighters, and deliberately didn't build Crawford into a marquee pay-per-view star. So per your own lawsuit, you're admitting you were mishandled and they didn't do enough to make you into a marquee pay-per-view star. So when it comes to big fish, Errol Spence, I really don't see how Crawford would honestly think he has first dibs or, you know, any type of leverage in that regard when your lawsuit is suggesting something pretty much different, saying, hey, Top Rank, they didn't do what they said they were going to do. They said they were going to pay me if they couldn't get the Errol Spence fight. They didn't pay me. They said that they were going to, you know, move me and fight me a couple times a year. We didn't get all those fights. They deliberately, that's what it says, quote, and deliberately didn't build him being Crawford, into a marquee pay-per-view star. So with these kind of things going on in the background, these are the truth. These are Crawford's unfortunate truth at age 34, right? So now you finally split and listen to people and split from Bob Arum, but you're in the position that you shouldn't be, which is why you're suing Bob Arum and Top Rank, right? Because you said they didn't make you into a star. So if your own lawsuit is admitting they didn't make you into a star, then how are you going to insinuate that you are the A side over Errol Spence? These things don't make sense. Errol Spence keeps saying, hey, I'm big fish. Hey, start that CashApp season. All this stuff makes sense. He's beating the guys man down. That makes sense. Strap season, he keeps fighting for belts. Kell Brook for a belt. Fighting Sean Porter unification for a belt. Fighting another unification with Ugas. Strap season makes sense, right? He's saying I'm the big fish. His numbers are better than anyone else in the welterweight division. Anybody. There's nobody who's an active fighter, because Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao are retired. They're not active fighters. There's no one else that has continually generated more revenue or numbers and attendance and viewership than Errol Spence at the welterweight division. You could say like guys who have generated bigger numbers are like Canelo, but he's not a welterweight. So that doesn't answer my question. So at the welterweight division, Errol Spence is who he says he is. Terence Crawford is saying, hey, I deserve the lion's share of money. You know, I've done more than Errol Spence in his little career, but then he's suing his promoter, suggesting that his promoter didn't do enough to make him a star. This is just, it's all over the place, right? And then now he's saying he wants to move up if he can't get the winner of this fight. But again, this is a premier boxing champions fight. So if you don't do business with them or sign to them and you haven't been able, this fight has eluded you, what really makes you believe that you'll be able to get another PBC fight for undisputed, just a division up? Again, these things don't make sense to me. If you can make it make sense, please do that in the comment section. That's all I really got to say. Till next time, same bat channel, same bat station. We unpacked. We unpack. We unpack. We unpack. Coming to you live, Boxing Ego Unpack. Yeah. We unpack. We unpack. We unpack. Coming to you live. The future is now. The Hibernation 5s by Kenichi Bear. Hybrid gaming and lifestyle headphones. Out of the box, you can connect to any console or PC. Bluetooth ready with a low latency USB adapter, color RGB, and extreme bass mode. The Hibernation 5s adjust to you. Whether you need a gaming, travel, gym, or lifestyle headphones, the Hibernations got you covered. The new Hibernation 5s, link in the description. Customize the way you hear the world. Welcome to the nation. Are you tired of your YouTube videos not getting any views? Well, consider TubeBuddy. I've used TubeBuddy for years to scale up my YouTube channel. Now we're sitting over 200,000 subscribers. TubeBuddy is a browser extension that offers a ton of built-in productivity and time-saving services to take your channel to the next level. Use my link in the description to get started with TubeBuddy and level up your channel faster.